From the lands of Persia, the hero arrives this time, and from Persia, many later embraced Islam, becoming unparalleled in their faith and knowledge, excelling in both religion and worldly affairs. Indeed, one of the greatest wonders of Islam and its remarkable figures is that whenever it enters a land, it awakens its genius in a miraculous way, ignites all its latent potentials, and unveils the hidden brilliance of its people. Thus, we see Muslim philosophers, Muslim physicians, Muslim jurists, Muslim astronomers, Muslim inventors, and Muslim mathematicians emerging from every corner, rising from every land, until the early centuries of Islam overflowed with astonishing geniuses in every field of intellect, willpower, and conscience. Their homelands were diverse, but their faith was one. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, had foretold this blessed expansion of his religion, not merely as a prediction, but as a true promise from his great and all-knowing Lord. Time and space were once unveiled before him, and he witnessed with his own eyes the banner of Islam waving over the cities of the earth and the palaces of its rulers. And Salman Al-Farsi was a witness to it all, intimately connected to what transpired. This was on the day of the trench in the 5th year of Hijrah. A group of Jewish leaders had traveled to Mecca, inciting the Quraysh and rallying the various factions against the messenger of Allah and the Muslims. They forged an alliance, agreeing to aid one another in a decisive war that would wipe out this new faith. A treacherous battle plan was devised. The armies of Quraysh and Ghatafan would launch an assault on Medina from the outside, while Banu Qurayza would attack from within, striking from behind the Muslim ranks, trapping them between two crushing forces that would annihilate them entirely. Then, one day, the Prophet and his companions were taken by surprise as a massive army approached Medina, armed with overwhelming numbers and devastating weaponry. The Muslims were caught off guard, and their senses reeled in shock at the terrifying ambush. And the Quran depicted the scene, as Allah Almighty said, "When they came at you from above and from below, and when eyes grew wild and hearts reached the throats, and you harbored doubts about Allah." 24,000 warriors, led by Abu Sufyan and Uyayna ibn Hisn, advanced toward Medina, surrounding it, preparing for a decisive strike to put an end to Muhammad, his religion, and his companions. This army was not merely Quraysh alone. It was a coalition of various tribes and interests that saw Islam as a threat to their existence. It was a final, desperate attempt by all the enemies of the messenger, individuals, groups, tribes, and factions, coming together for one ultimate confrontation. The Muslims found themselves in an extremely perilous situation. The Prophet gathered his companions to consult them on the matter. They unanimously agreed to defend and fight. But the question remained, how should they defend themselves? At that moment, a tall, broad-shouldered man with thick hair stepped forward, a man whom the Prophet held in great affection and deep respect. Salman Al-Farsi climbed to a high hill, scanning the city with a discerning eye. He found it well fortified by the surrounding mountains and rocky terrain. However, there was one wide, vulnerable gap, an opening through which the enemy could easily breach Medina's defenses. Salman, having extensive knowledge of warfare from his time in Persia, stepped forward with a proposal unfamiliar to the Arabs, a strategy they had never employed before in battle. He suggested digging a trench to cover the entire exposed area around the city. and Allah alone knows what fate would have awaited the Muslims had they not dug that trench. When the Quraysh army saw it, they were stunned. Their plans were thwarted, and they remained encamped for an entire month, unable to penetrate Medina's defenses. Then, one night, Allah sent upon them a fierce, howling wind that tore through their tents and scattered their forces. At last, Abu Sufyan called out to his troops, ordering them to withdraw and return to where they came from, a defeated, exhausted army leaving in utter despair. Remember, 3 simple things can change my life and help this video go viral. Comment, like, and share. So please, take just 10 seconds of your time to do it. Thank you in advance for your amazing support.